Welcome to the Process Breakdown Podcast, where we talk about streamlining and scaling operations of your company, getting rid of bottlenecks, and giving your employees all the information they need to be successful at their jobs. Now, let's get started with the show.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here, host of the Process Breakdown Podcast, where we talk about streamlining and scaling operations of your company, getting rid of bottlenecks, and giving your staff everything they need to be successful at their job. Past guests include David Allen of Getting Things Done, Michael Gerber of the E-Myth, and many, many more. I'm excited to introduce today's guest in a second, Michel Coutu. But before I do, I want to tell you this episode is brought to you by SweetProcess. And, Michel, I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, but a lot of people have. Have you had team members ask you the same questions over and over, and it's like the 10th time you spent explaining it? Well, there is a better solution. SweetProcess is a software that makes it drop dead easy to train and onboard new staff and save time with existing staff. And it was on the phone, Michel, with the founder, Owen, and he said, not only do universities, banks, and hospitals and software companies use it, but first responder government agencies use them in life or death situations to run their operations. So you can use SweetProcess to document all the repetitive tasks that eat up your precious time so you can focus on growing. They have a 14-day free trial, no credit card required. Go to sweetprocess.com. It's sweet like candy, SWEET process.com. So I'm excited to introduce today's guest, Michel Coutu. He's president of accesscredit.ca. That's 1S Access. And it's a Canadian-based company that's been helping people for over a decade finance cars, trucks, motorcycles. I was even reading ATVs, snowmobiles, probably anything you can, I guess in Canada, like you need snowmobiles in some of the tundra, but through its vast network of more than 2,000 affiliated car dealers throughout Eastern Canada, they help people finance those vehicles. And especially for people who have second or third chances on credit, it's tough, to get a loan in Canada, Michel. So why don't you, start about talking about that? Why did you start the company, and why is it so, what is the process like in Canada?
First of all, Jeremy, yes, it's very tough here in Canada. It's not like in the United States, here in Canada, we just have maybe 7 or 8 major banks. And of course, our rules, our regulations are very tough here in Canada. And that's why as soon as you have a late issue with your credit card, or maybe bankruptcy, or maybe you could be a retired person or a seasonal, on the east of Canada, a lot of fishermen and like this. So it's very tough in Canada to have a loan, and especially for a car. And that's why we, Access Credit, are probably one of the largest lender on the east of Canada, from the Ontario to the Maritimes provinces. Yes.
Yeah. So talk about your company a little bit. I mentioned it, but what do you do?
First of all, we came from a dealership. We know each other because basically at the beginning, we were just 5 in the company, and we worked at that time for a dealership, and unfortunately the dealership closed its door, unfortunately. And at that time, and if you will remember, if you recall correctly, at that time in 2008, it was the financial crisis. And at that time, all banks, and especially United States, they are so severe. And so the dealership unfortunately closed. So we decided to open, to answer about the needs from the client, because the client needs a financial institution who can approve the transaction for a car, but not for a $25,000 car, but mostly for a car less than 10 grand, let's say. So just to Access Credit is the bridge between your former life and what is supposed to be your real life. So formerly, maybe you had some issue with your credit card.
Maybe you were in college and you racked up credit card bills and you're like, what was I thinking at the time?
Everyone knows about that. Yes. And that's why. So a lot of needs, especially in Canada and especially during this financial crisis. So, and that's why we decided in 2008, at the end of November, we decided to create Access Credit to answer the needs from the customer.
Nice. And so to give people a context about, your company, Access Credit, how does it work with staffing to run the company?
As I told you, we were 5. Now it's about 75 employees now. For Access Credit, we have 2 offices, one here in Quebec, in Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. It's about 25 minutes from Montreal, south of Montreal. And we have also another office in Dartmouth, just near Halifax.
Yeah.
And for 75 employees now.
Yeah. To run an organization of 75, it can get disorganized quickly if you don't have organization. So what was your situation, I guess, we talked about SweetProcess. Before using SweetProcess, what were you trying to do? What have you tried previously to organize?
The main issue, it's about the, I don't know if I can say that in English, but Arabic phone. When you say something to someone and after, a few people, and at the end of the day, it's not the same policies that you decided 2 years ago.
Yeah,
and
it's like telephone in the US where you say one thing, it goes around the table, in the end you say mouse, and the end is like banana. Like, how did that translate into something completely different?
Yes, probably. So that's why it was the main issue for Access Credit, because when we were 5, it was very easy for us, as soon we change a policy, just talk around the table at the lunch time, and you know what I mean? So, but after a certain time, after 10, 20 employees now, the issue was, okay, we decided something a few years ago, and suddenly I realized that what you are doing now for your job is not what you're supposed to do. And that's why a few years ago, we decided to buy a certain application to, I call this application the Holy Bible of Access Credit, because everything inside SweetProcess is all our policies and procedures. So as soon we hire someone, it's easiest for us to give the training, because the first 1 or 2 days of the training, the employees have just to read all our policies. And what is good with SweetProcess, one of the good things, it's probably the fact that as soon I change a policy, for whatever reason, everybody knows I change right now my policy. I can change a policy at 10 p.m. a night, or in the middle of the night, and I decide to change a policy. So every people in the company the next morning will know that, okay, Michel changed the policies. And of course, they have to sign off each policies and procedures. So I know who signed and who knows my new policies.
Yeah, so it's not that you changed it, but they had to look at it.
Yes, of course, yeah. And for many reasons, we decide to change the policies, and instead of sending email to everyone and make sure that everyone reads the email, and so with SweetProcess, it's so easy for us.
I love it. I think I'm gonna email Owen after this conversation, because you created a new tagline for him. I think, Michel, you say, "Oh, I don't speak perfect English. I think your English is amazing," but you just said, "We help you create your holy Bible." Like, that's such a good. So basically, you're saying, okay, like SweetProcess helped me create my holy Bible of my company.
Yes, of course, yes, and I think it's a good word for what we are doing with SweetProcess. Yes.
So what was the point where you're like, okay, we need something? Like, was there a breaking point? Something happened. Someone left the company. What happened that made you push you over the edge to go, I need to get something?
When you realize that your policies and your procedures are not followed. And because in our niche, everything is very important. Every signature, every initials on the document, every forms, they're so important. And because obviously we are in the bank industry, so with the court, with the hearing, the judgment, and everything, and as I told you, in Canada, it's so severe, the regulation, so we have to follow them. So when you realize a certain morning, you realize that what you did 2 years ago from a former employee, it was made not following your procedure, not following your policies. It's too late. It's too late because you talk about a 2-year forms. 2 years later, it's too late to realize this. And as a president or as a supervisor of the company, we can check everything every minute at every time. So that's why we have to give a certain tool to our employees, because when you ask to someone why you did this 2 years later, 2 years earlier, and he said, but I just follow what the former employee told to me. Okay, who was this employee? Oh, I can't remember exactly who. Tell me that and this and so who I can blame?
You can't fix it.
Yeah. So it's my responsibility as a president to have the Holy Bible to make sure that everyone is on the same track during all the life of the company.
Yeah. Michel, that's a great feature also that you were talking about, which is you change it. And so you don't go, okay, now you feel good about yourself, but it sends a message out so that people have to approve it so it actually gets implemented. And that's the key about the system. What other features of SweetProcess do you find valuable?
The fact that everyone can put information, policies or procedures, every employee can do that, but of course they have to ask for an approval for the president, let's say from me, but everyone, the knowledge basis of SweetProcess, of our Holy Bible, it's built with everyone. So we have the big challenge now, because after you begin to use the SweetProcess, the big challenge is to put every information into the Holy Bible. So that's why I asked everyone, everything, as soon as you make something in your task, in your work, put this information in the Holy Bible.
Nice.
And with the time, the knowledge base of Access Credit will grow. And I hope so once a day, maybe have like 95% of the knowledge of the company into this Bible.
What were you especially excited about getting out of? Was there a certain position that you were documenting, or a certain aspect of the company that you're excited now kind of lives in the cloud, and it doesn't, like, if someone leaves, it doesn't leave with that person?
Leave with my secrets?
Yeah, no, not with the secrets. I mean, let's say you're onboarding a salesperson. Was there something that you felt you were excited about documenting because I don't know, before you had SweetProcess, maybe someone left and they were like, oh, we didn't have this documented, and now you have to kind of start from scratch in the drawing board.
Yeah, of course. Basically, the fact that we have everything inside the old Bible, as soon we someone leave the company or whatever for any reason, everything is locked by a password and a username, of course. Okay, and the great thing is nothing is printed, nothing is on paper, because obviously we are on the paperless environment. You know what I mean? So no paper, everything on the cloud. So if I'm an employee of Access Credit, I have access to, it's not a word, but I have access to the information, and even from your home or your office, or even in Halifax, even if I hire someone from India, from Illinois, everybody knows our policies automatically, in 10 seconds. As soon as we created something, everyone knows about our policies. And after all, it's also something to back the employees, because if I ask to an employee, why you do this thing, probably you make a mistake and blah, 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 blah. No, sorry, look in your Bible. This is your procedures. This is your policy. Maybe when you created the policies, you made a mistake. Okay, but the policy, the Bible back the employee, And of course, one of the feature that I love in SweetProcess is the fact that the SweetProcess keeps the history of every policies and procedures. So maybe I have changed my policies during the year, but I can go through the history and I could see, okay, in January I had this policies, and in March I changed my policies. So it's good to back the employee too.
How did you discover SweetProcess, Michel?
By the internet. And honestly, every application is made in-house except SweetProcess.
Wow.
Because we never had a chance to create this kind of tool, so a huge tool, honestly, with a lot of options. And if I recall correctly, I remember maybe twice or two or three times I asked to the president of SweetProcess, hey, it could be good to have this new feature, and he created this new feature just for access credit. But at the end of the day, I know it could be good for all companies.
Yeah. I mean, that's great about a company that listens to its users, because they're creating something that's valuable to you, but also that probably other people maybe in the future would want as well. What were some of the things that you thought would be beneficial they created because of your suggestion? Do you remember?
Maybe I don't remember very well, but it was about the approval workflow. Let's say, for example, okay. At that time, I preferred this way instead the other way, and of course they changed. I don't know if they changed for us, just for access credit, but I'm sure it was probably a good idea for another company.
Yeah, Michel. So I had a question. When you discover SweetProcess, you decide you need a system to implement. Was there anything initially in the beginning, what were your common questions before bringing on SweetProcess in the platform, or was there anything you were skeptical about before onboarding SweetProcess as a solution for your company?
Probably the security was the first meeting I had.
The security.
The security, yes.
Yeah.
And especially in that time, I don't know if you read something about our federal government who has a hacking on their system. And of course, a few banks too here in Canada, and I'm sure in the United States too. So the security was my first thought at that time, and also the reliability. What I said, it's easy for the employee to use it. Because if it's too complicated, and you have to go through 10 web pages to know what you have to search and to find what you are looking for. And when it's too complicated, it's human. We don't like this. With SweetProcess, it's working with the keyword. Let's say My employee would like to know how to change my password in the system, because we have the ERP and the CRM system, one for the back office and one for our dealerships. And as soon as you just write in the Bible, in the knowledge base of the company, as soon as you write, okay, the word password, SweetProcess show you every policies and procedures with the word password.
Yeah.
And so
pretty
you can, yes, it's very cool. Instead of calling my IT department, and let's say it's 8 p.m. on a night, and you have to work from home, and unfortunately you lost your password. How I can reset my password? Just go to the Holy Bible, and you're gonna see the answer. So it's everything about that, the knowledge base.
Thanks for sharing that, Michel. So, as far as the company goes in Access Credit, what's the next big goal that you want to achieve at your company?
My expectation?
Yeah, for your company in general.
In general, of course, it's across Canada to be coast to coast for Access Credit. We started the company with the province who probably is the most severe across Canada, because we are not on the same legal code instead of the rest of the Canada. And of course, the fact of the bilingual. Here it's bilingual. The rest of the Canada, it's unfortunately almost in English. So that's why this company of like us probably start from the west side, like British Columbia, and as soon they reach the Quebec province, they jump over Quebec and go to the East Maritimes provinces. So for us, because we started with the most complicated the province, it's easiest for us to reach the other provinces just according to the law and everything. So my expectation for the next probably 7 or 8 years would be the rest of the Canada, the west far.
Yeah, you're like, we already took care of the hard stuff with the region that you undertook. So hopefully expanding is not doesn't have the same trials and tribulations. Last thing, Michel, and I want to encourage everyone to go to accesscredit.ca and more episodes of the Process Breakdown podcast. Access.ca is ACCES, one S, credit.ca. What's the very next step that someone listening should take to start to streamline operations? What's your advice for them to start to be more productive and streamline their operations?
About Access Credit?
Yeah, no, just in general, like if another company is listening, like, listen, I want to do what Michel does and kind of streamline operations using SweetProcess. What do you recommend them starting with first?
First of all, when you start your company, start with application like SweetProcess. The mistake we made at that time, and of course it was not so à la mode at that time to use this kind of application, but our issue now is to put in the SweetProcess everything we know since the day one of the company. So it's very huge. That's why probably it would take 2 years from now to complete our Bible, But if you are a new entrepreneur and you would like to create your company, think about the fact that, yes, okay, today we're just 2, we're just 3, but tomorrow probably you will be 50 and 60 and 80. And at that time, you will lose your control of your employees, and you could not check what everyone do at every minute. With the Bible, you put your procedure, you put your policies, and if someone doesn't follow your policies, now you have a reason to react, to blame someone. But how you can blame someone who doesn't know what is your policy? I don't know what is your policy, and probably, and the other entrepreneur will say that when you train someone, you can tell everything about the company. You will talk about the main issue, the main thing that happened often, but for something just for some event that appear just once a year, what is your policy? What is your policy? Go to the knowledge, type your keyword, and you will see the policy. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you, Michel. I thought this was fantastic. Everyone check out more process breakdown, check out SweetProcess, and check out accesscredit.ca. Michel, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Process Breakdown Podcast. Before you go, quick question. Do you want a tool that makes it easy to document processes, procedures, and/or policies for your company so that your employees have all the information they need to be successful at their job? If yes, sign up for a free 14-day trial of SweetProcess. No credit card is required to sign up. Go to sweetprocess.com, sweet like candy, and process like process.com. Go now to sweetprocess.com and sign up for your risk-free 14-day trial.